welcome to Nourishing the Mother, where inspired women talk about the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness. We ask, in what ways can we show up more fully, live more meaningfully, parent more wholly, and love more unconditionally? How can we mine the wisdom from the experiences of our lives and expand into those challenges? If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs, so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way. And if you feel like giving a little back to this free content, please become a patron of the show and receive extra member benefits for less than a coffee a month. Or you can leave a review on iTunes and Facebook, all of which helps the podcast keep going and reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul. Head on over to patreon.com/NTM podcast to find out more. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is all about me.
I'm seeing a bit of a run of this lately, but
I know, right? Do you know, I did actually think that.
It's okay because it goes in seasons. Right?
Well, I think that's the thing of it is we always hit hard bits.
Yeah.
And the truth is when it rains, it probably pours. Particularly if you're like me and I go, yep, give it to me, I'm ready, I'm good. That's what I want. And I set my intentions for the year, but I'm fully aware that that comes with a breaking, yes. Which I'm equally terrified as, but too excited and heartfelt not to do it.
Gosh.
And then go, all right, I'm waiting.
Where is it?
Where is it?
I know you're coming for me.
But inevitably it shows up, right?
Yeah.
But I can bring enough humour to it like this to go, I don't need to get stuck in the, oh, it's so hard, why does this happen to me story? Because I know it's all part of it.
Yeah.
And I know that it's all on the way to my deepest heart's desire in this current evolution. But that I have to move through the sludge, right? I have to be the, what have I got a tattoo of on my leg?
The lotus.
The lotus, yeah. Thank you. My mind went totally blank. I have to be born through the mud.
Yes.
Move through, you know, the mire of the dark water before I can float on the sunlight at the top. Like that's just the journey. I know that.
You're deeply, you bow to that.
I do bow to that, and I have the deepest reverence for pain. And so I expect and anticipate my own pain. And so I'm not interested in shutting the door on my pain because I have been with it long enough to know that the path is through it.
Yes.
Not, you know, around it and under it and over it and all manner of creative ways that we adapt.
Which means because you are very aware of how wonderful humans are at creatively adapting around pain, that we therefore know that you face relationship pain.
I do.
And that is what we're going to talk about in this week's podcast.
It is. But before we get there, I would love to remind you to jump on to nourishingthemother.com.au, scroll on down to the red banner and sign up to join our community, where once every so often
we sent one the other day.
You did. You've been really good at it. I've still got to get my go on with it. We do fully intend to send out a newsletter that has all of the links to everything we're doing and have put out in the world, so that if you really would love a little bit more consciousness, a little bit more of a touch point on the thing that you want to dive deeper into, that you're not going to miss it. So please jump onto that. We promise we won't flood your inbox. It's just a way for you to stay, on the pulse with things that are nourishing the mother. And we could all use some nourishing of our mother. So, yeah, nourishingthemother.com.au, scroll on down to sign up. So, I don't even know where to start, but I'm going to have a drink of water before we do, because I already feel my mouth has gone dry. And this could be another episode where I, like, find my way through as opposed to having a clear plan.
Well, I suppose let's take it back to my understanding of it all, because I texted you after I watched a live that you did around women's circles, and I was like, you nailed it. Like, I just love listening. Like, you just hit all these points. It was fantastic. You're like, yeah, I felt so good. And like, I just felt like I really showed up. And then I had potentially the worst fight I've had maybe ever with Nick.
Yeah. And I said it to you with kind of like this laughing face, because I was like, how the fuck is this? Because I know this is the law of conservation.
Yeah.
I know, here it is, showing up.
You're not...
Ha, ha, ha. Thanks very much.
See, and this is the key, right? You're not going, don't rain on my parade. You just want to bring me down. Why do you have to, as soon as I get successful, you have to just do this thing? Like, you're not doing that because you recognize that you are, like, on fire, right? And you are feeling super duper aligned, and you're feeling like the pulsating flow of support, like, through your veins, right? And so the universe, in the beautiful way that it does this, was bringing the challenge.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. You did take me back there, because I'd actually completely even blanked on what I was here to talk about that seemed like so potent and such a good idea. So, as you all know, if you are a follower of Nourishing the Mother, I had a massive 2019, and following Pearl's birth, all of a sudden came into my light. And that light has stacked and grown in power through the rest of 2019, and to the point where it almost just felt like a total line in the sand, like I'm not the same woman.
Yeah.
And like this roar from within my cells that was like, and I can never go back to that. And it felt so aligned and fucking purposeful. And if you know that feeling, it is like...
It's intoxicating.
It is the juice of this universe. Like, it just feels amazing. So I'd launched and done Queen's School over our summer break, which my family was really involved in the process of, because it was our family holiday that I was doing it in and around. And because I was building this new sense of self and empowerment and financial empowerment, that I fully wanted my children to be part of that, to stop the shame story around money and success that I knew I carried in my DNA. And so I have intimately involved my children and my husband in every step of that, because I've had evolutions of myself where I've just done my thing and kept them really separate from my thing. Because I have all the reasons why they're not interested and why they can't meet it, because it's just, you know, crazy little me doing my little thing over here, and it doesn't work. So this was a completely new paradigm for me, where I was like, I know I'm at my best when I am invested here in my family, deeply entrenched and rooted, and in my relationship, deeply connected and rooted in. So my business has to be intimately rooted with my family and relationship for it to be a full-bodied yes.
And for it to be a full expression of you as well.
Right. And so I'd worked really hard on seeing how they're all interlinked and together, not separate, and totally felt that, completely felt that. And every step of Queen's School just confirmed that more for me, because my children would just, I could watch them. They would just, we got into the habit of really celebrating. We called them PayPal parties. So really celebrating the flow, actively watching the flow of money in, and then actively talking about where that money flows to and around and with, and what that feels like, and celebrating the tiniest milestones of success, because they were all on the path to this thing that was really fucking hard for me to do. And everybody saw that in my little family. And so we had this really beautiful cultivation process around celebrating the small wins and reaching the milestone. So I carried that same philosophy and theory into launching Embark. So Embark is my course that actually starts tomorrow. I know this is a pre-record, but as we're recording this, starts tomorrow, Valentine's Day. And it for me is, well, Queen's School is this huge part of who I am as relationship, Embark was who I am as a practitioner and as a woman's facilitator. And I have designed this 6-month program that just feels, I can feel every evolution of me over the last 25 years as I look at that course content. And it just feels, for the first time, like everything fits. And it feels amazing. And
like you've come home to yourself.
It does. And to actually realize that I have become the practitioner that little student me looked up to and wanted to be. And I've arrived there. I didn't realize I had until I mapped it all out and went, holy shit, here you are. I've been searching for you for 20 years. Turns out you were here all along, you know?
It's so beautiful.
So Embark for me just felt like Queen School super aligned, but like this whole other piece of me. Hang on, I'm just going to move that cord. So as I launched Embark, and I had been talking about the whole process with my kids, and I had in mind a number of people that I wanted to get into that would be my angel number, that would carry through the energy that I felt I needed to feel totally in alignment and gifted by this whole experience. There's an energy that travels with what we put out in the world. So each and every time someone signed up, it was a ritual. The moment it happened, I would walk out in the room, my kids would look at my face and they'd be like, oh my God, you got another one. They'd be like, and we'd like have this huge like dance party, high fives. They'd be cuddling. Like it was just super high energy, felt amazing. And I could just bring all these pieces of me. They were witnessing their mum in the world in a whole other way.
In a way they haven't probably seen you.
Yeah, they were totally, I could see them even through this whole process completely transforming how they looked at themselves and their own financial empowerment. Like it was just such a profound experience. But my husband kind of got it, but didn't really bring the energy that my kids brought to it.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of, there's a piece of me that was sitting back watching it going,
what's going on here?
Yeah. All right. I see it, but it's not painful enough for me yet to, you know, like I see it, but we're okay. This is all right. Because I'm getting so much love over here.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they bring in the balance.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's okay. And if I could feel his presence to the moment that someone said yes to me, then it was fine. The celebration part was less important to me. I needed to feel his presence in the moment to the thing that I'd achieved, which for me just felt like another hurdle. Like it's another piece of me that's worked really fucking hard through all of the sludge of me to do this thing. And every time someone said yes, there was that sat upon sludge and hard work to put myself out in the world, to do this big, scary fucking thing. You know, hard work. Anyway, as we crept closer and closer to my angel number, his celebrations like started to wane. And again, I was watching it. Although I was getting a little bit more agitated by now because I'm feeling his like apathy. Yeah. Rather than deep presence. And you know I like deep presence. Yes. So I'm watching that going, I really don't like that.
No.
But okay. You know. Anyway. So I do this live and to be honest with you, when I start a live like that, doing it on my front page, totally open to the universe and the world of the ether, it's shit scary. Like you have no idea who you're speaking to. I couldn't even see comments. So I had no idea if anyone was liking what I was saying or not liking what I was saying or even interested. Like the whole thing is like just a quagmire.
You were just going out on a wing and a prayer.
Yeah. But at the same time, just completely feeling like, it actually doesn't even matter. Like I'm just here to be the channel and I'm here to be my channel and show up and my channel and whatever it is what it is.
And you've become a lot more comfortable.
Super. I've worked really hard on that. Yeah. And whatever this is what it needs to be. Yeah. So I was good, but I really felt the energy through that live and felt like it was super powerful. It is on Facebook if you want to look at it. So it's how to run women's circles and hold space. And anyway, I did it in the lounge room because I think we were running late that day and the kids were still up or something like that. And so I'd moved into the lounge room and Nick and the kids were down the back of the house. So I turn off the live, and I kid you not, the second I turn off the live, someone says yes to embark, and it's my angel number person.
Oh, cool.
So can you imagine, I've just done this really scary thing.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling like, holy shit, Julie, you did this thing and you felt the energy and it was fucking awesome. And you are like, this says yes to me in my whole body. Like, yes, you're meant to be here. This just feels so aligned. It's
like a pinnacle moment.
Right. And then the angel number drops in like the instant that live finishes. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, I nearly wanted to cry as I like just breathed in what that represented for me, which I could even cry just thinking about now. It's just sits upon years of self-doubt and self-flagellation and all of the work it takes to push through and disseminate and dissolve all of that. That's fucking hard work. And then all of the time, energy that I'd spent in putting it out to the world and putting myself out to the world. And then I finally hit this dream. And it's good to have a goal too, I think, because you want to have tangible moments where you go, I've made it.
Yeah.
I've done the thing. It's no longer this etheric wish.
Because you're building evidence for yourself that you can call in and achieve what you say you want.
Right. Here it is. So I am having my own private moment of like heart opening awe and gratitude and just wave after wave of like orgasmic bliss. And I turn around to my husband who's sitting on the fucking couch with a bowl of ice cream just rested upon his chest, slumped, watching the basketball.
It is not the kind of audience you wanted.
So I was like, okay. So I went, I've done it. And he like goes, congratulations.
Oh, ouch.
And goes back to his bowl of ice cream.
Oh, no.
And so I like took a breath and I'm like, did that just happen? You know, at this moment. And then I think about Queen School me and I'm like, Julie, just be the invitation. Don't get stuck in your story. Don't get all pissy and rejecty and scolding, you know, because I can. Reveal. So I went, okay. So I move myself so I'm just more in his eyesight. And I went, I just really made the thing that I've been working really hard for. I just really did that thing. And come on, celebrate with me. Come over here and celebrate. I want to feel you. Come over here. And he sat on the couch and went, I want to. And went back to his ice cream. At which point I felt like, do you know that dinosaur that's in, dragon, that's in How to Train Your Dragon, and the girl, can't think of her name right now, rides her and she like, and it like flicks its tail.
Yeah.
The like, is it the nadder?
I don't know.
The nadder, I think it like flicks these spikes. I instantly could feel my energy just literally instantaneously prickle into a quadruple million trillion spines and flick that wave right out of him. I could feel it happening. And I could see him look up at me because I hadn't said anything. And it was prickling, like my entire skin was on fire as I'm like, as I'm breathing through this situation going, this is uncharted territory for me. Did that just happen? You know, as I'm like this. I know I'm laughing about it now, but at the time.
What was it like at the time?
Brutal.
Did you feel like you were going to be sick? Like, what was it? Or too angry to be sick? Or hurt? Was it hurt, anger?
I was hurt, but because I have a history of hurting, my instantaneous mechanism is to go to fight. So I will get angry at you because that's my blueprint if I'm not conscious of it. So here go the heckles, to which he goes back to his fucking ice cream.
So he's looked up at you at this point, seen your heckles.
Yeah.
And still
felt my heckles. That's why he looked up. Yeah.
And he's back eating ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've just let myself feel that energy because it's really intense, and I'm not going to lie, there's something that's completely delicious about that energy being so thick. It feels like goop, and I feel like I could just like touch it and I could literally feel it move. So there's an edge of me that's like, oh, this is powerful.
And also because it's different. It's like,
it's different. Yeah. So I let the uncomfortable silence hang for a while I felt this energy and worked out what exactly I was going to do with my heckles because they were pointed like razor blades straight at him. You know?
They could have flicked off his daggers at any moment.
And I went, what just happened just now? What actually just happened? And he was like, what?
Oh my God.
Like, hello, 8-year-old you.
Yeah, right?
Right? And at that point I went, I could easily like just tear you to pieces because that's easy for me to do. That's the easiest option for me.
And so
I'm
fucking,
practiced.
and so tempting.
I'm good at it. It's delicious, even though it's hurting. And it feels good. I could totally do that. But instead, I remind myself of all of my years of learning. And I choose the yogic path instead. I choose to feel my pain and feel it to such an extent that I feel like my heart is literally breaking. God, that's hard. Like literally break. I feel like I can feel it splitting open. But I also know that that is the path to evoking the masculine. It's not through fighting him. It's through showing him my truth so he can feel my truth, not all my defensive mechanisms. So I stand in front of him and I just let the pain express, and of course it comes out, and all I can get out is, that is so disappointing. And I'm really hurt. And tears. And I try and breathe with it, and I'm trying to stay with it. And I know instantaneously as I'm breathing and opening up into it, I know instantaneously there's this part of me that drops in that's like, this is old. Like this pain is so intense in this moment. I know instantaneously that this is my childhood. This is my mum. This is my dad. This is both the wounds of success and tall poppy and 2 big fear boots. Instantaneously in that moment, I know that's what this is. And the pain of that is so intense, I don't feel like I can hold it any longer. And oh no, just before then, so as I'm in the revealing phase, sorry, I forgot that bit because this is important. As I'm in the revealing phase and I'm like, this is really disappointing. I think I used another word, but it was like disappointing, but essentially this is just, oh, I know what I said. This is really dishonorable.
Dishonorable.
Because I'm evoking his masculine. I know I have to use certain words and I'm going to use the word that speaks to the core of him. So as I'm breaking in front of him, what I'm saying to him is, this is really dishonorable. Because right now, all I can feel is this stacking moment of the patriarchy and every woman that's been raped in that process. Because that's what this is.
Yeah.
In a metaphorical form.
Yeah, that's right. It's just completely stripping you bare.
And then he's like, you always do this. It's always like, you know, because I don't do the one thing exactly the way you want it. Now it's like always and never, and I don't, and that's not true. And I was like, no, I asked you to celebrate with me, and you chose to sit in front of the TV with ice cream and not. So don't tell me this is me making huge leaps. He used some other phrase, but it was essentially you make huge leaps. How do you go from I didn't celebrate exactly the way you wanted to all of a sudden I'm breaking your heart? How do we get there? Because that's crazy, essentially. Not exactly the words,
but the gist.
And so in my head I'm going, am I crazy? Did I just make a really big leap? And then for the first time, there's this part of me that drops in that's like, no. Because I was so centered in that moment, and what you can feel and read with the universal language of feeling is known beyond how many words you can fit into a millisecond, right? I know in that moment that this is about fear and success, and that you can't get out of your fear of success and championing of mine in order to be here. I know that's what's happening. I haven't made a leap.
Yeah.
I know this is about you. And instead of owning that, you're going to say, I'm crazy. And the rage I felt for that, again, I breathed and opened up into enormous pain. And it was at that point I had the drop in that this has come from childhood patterning as well, this same theme, right? And the pain was so intense that I consciously was like, can you stay with it? Can you stay with it? Can you stay with it? And I'm like, I just got to move. I can't hold this anymore. It's too big.
Yeah.
And so I moved my body and I packed things away from my life, crying. But of course, as I moved, the crying subsided. So I knew in that moment that my movement was not a truth of my body, but was a choice of my mind to separate myself from the pain because it subsided.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I decided this is big. I know this one particular moment. I know there's in this moment, I know there's no accident that yesterday I made my affirmations for the year. I wrote them down. For me, is setting them in concrete. And then I did this live. I made my angel number, and now the shit's come up. That's not a coincidence. So the thing that I want that I wrote down in paper, I have to move through this in order for that to be a possibility. One of those things, of course, is career success. So it's not an accident that this patterning that I was actually a little bit unaware of, or mostly unaware of, has come up. So, okay,
because this is in the way.
It's in the way.
Reaching that you say that you want.
Exactly. So I stopped my doing, and out of our window in our bedroom is this beautiful elm tree, and it's always felt like the mother tree of my home. And the hours I've spent gazing at that tree, contemplating life, it's kind of where I always go to contemplate. So I made myself as small as I could because that's how I felt, and tucked myself down in this little corner and just gazed out the window and just came back to that moment and tried to consciously take myself back there to the pain and let it weep out of my eyes again, because I knew this is somatic therapy. There's trauma here. I need to honor myself enough to be with it because, okay, Nick's been the catalyst for it, but I know it sits deeper than that anyway. And I know in any moment of relationship dysfunction that there's function on both sides.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's got his part in it, sure. But it's always to take 100% responsibility for how it's mine. And I can see it. So be with that. Because he's clearly not in the space of being able to be with it. But the mark that I'd left with before my heart was so broken I couldn't be with it anymore was, this is really dishonorable.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that felt so ancient in the way that I said that and the energy that came with it, that it just felt like, I don't know. It just felt like years of patriarchy and the raping and pillaging of women and earth for centuries, you know, and just the deep pain.
Yeah. Witnessing that complete disregard.
Yeah. So I just sat there being with my pain. And of course, as universal dynamics has it, the more I'm willing to be with my own pain and not cast it out at the other, of course, he's then able to enter my space again. So he comes and sits on the floor next to me and basically just says, look, I know I really hurt you. And I'm really sorry that I didn't celebrate, you know, the way you wanted. And I was like, really? So we go through a bit of backwards and forwards about the initial celebration. So the point that he keeps coming back to is when I said, I just made my angel number, and he like went, congratulations. He keeps coming back to that point. That's less of a point to me than the point at which I asked for specifically what I wanted and you said no.
Yeah.
He keeps avoiding that. So in the end, and his argument for I tried to speak in his values. I said to him, okay, I just want you to understand what that live and that last entry into Embark was for me. That for me was winning the NBL premiership that you played in. So imagine you've just gone through all of the year of training that you do and all of the games and all of the camaraderie and all of the training and all of the everything, and you've played your heart out and your body out and you've left it all on the court, and you've just won the Australian Championship, whatever. And you come home to me full of all of that. And I say to you, congratulations, and go back to my ice cream.
That's what that feels like.
Yeah. To which he goes, well, I didn't know that that was your premiership. You didn't tell me that. So we go around that a little bit, and in the end I go, okay, all right. It's totally possible that my communication was not up to scratch on that, and I will make sure that you're fully aware of how I feel about the thing so that you're fully aware of where I'm standing on it. Okay. I'm willing to accept that you didn't know that was my Super Bowl. I will make sure that my communication is upped so that next time that doesn't happen. But that does not explain when I asked for what I wanted and you just went, I'm wanting. Said, I can't work that out. And essentially we sort of, he ends up kind of not knowing what to say. And he takes this sigh of, almost defeat, and he goes, I don't know. And then he gets this irritated kind of look on his face and he goes, I just don't like being told what to do. And then he goes on a rant. Because when is it ever enough? Like, we've celebrated you for so long. Like, how often do we have to celebrate you? Like, every time? What is the stupid dancing? Why do we have to have a PayPal party every single fucking time? And why? Why does it, like, it's enough. We've done it already for so long. That's enough. Like, when is it ever enough for you? Like, 30? 50? So do we just keep going?
So he's on a rant.
He's on this rant. And as he's ranting, I can just feel my anger. And it's back. And all I can feel is this. I'm not even angry at him anymore. Because what I've realized in this moment is the patriarchy is alive and well in my husband. And I had no idea it was sleeping there.
So you're like, what the actual?
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? And all of a sudden, he's not my husband, he's the system.
You're the system that's been oppressing women for centuries.
That's exactly right.
And I'm sleeping next to you.
Right. No, really.
You disgust me.
No. The rage that I felt in my body was so intense. I swear to God, I could have boxed his head in. Bloody.
It's like the biggest turn off too. It's like, who the fuck are you even?
Yeah. Well, so I'm feeling this rage and I'm going, ooh, I like me like this. Like there's part of me that's like, I like this, take no prisoners, fuck you and the system. Yeah, you want to know when enough is enough? I'm ready to tell you, because for the first time in my life, all of the stories that I grew up with around being a tall poppy, which if you're not familiar with that statement because you're not from Australia, is this concept of when you rise too tall that we will cut you down so that you're more like us.
And you're more,
manageable.
Yeah.
That your shine is not so great that I can no longer tolerate you. And we do this in so many ways, the great leveler of all different types where we cut women down, the way we cut our husbands down, the way we do it to each other all of the time, just to make you more manageable for me.
Yeah.
So we're just going to wrap up part 1 of Even Julie's Relationship Gets Hard here. We will continue it in next week's podcast. I hope maybe it's touched a little point for you and you've got something out of it, because Lord knows when we share a story.
Yes, the stories tend to ripple out like nothing else. So this is a really powerful one.
Thanks. So to connect with you, Bridge?
Suburbansandcastles.com, and you, Jules?
ThePleasureNutritionist.com, and we're nourishingthemother.com.au, Nourishing the Mother on Facebook and Instagram.
And remember to nourish the woman to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey. And if you want to support Nourishing the Mother and all the late nights, the early mornings, the blood, sweat and tears we pour into our art, then please go to patreon.com/NTM podcast and become our patron. As a patron, you're helping all of the cost of operating this podcast, the hosting, the editing, the transcription, helping all of that be completely covered, and joining a community who are all about honouring our journeys and continuing to open. The more support we have, the longer we can last. So become a patron. We'd love to have you. Go to patreon.com/NTM podcast. We literally couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for listening, and please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.